This week on the Trent Out Loud Podcast. Negativity is a figment of your imagination. It's up to you if you want to acknowledge it. It's up to you if you want to let that exist. That's the mentality of a champion. That's the mentality of somebody who's great. Failure doesn't really exist. It's just a perception. I'm so happy that we're talking about this. Giannis Antetokounmpo was asked by a reporter if losing to Miami was a failure, and he said this.
Do you view this season as a failure?
Every year you work towards something, towards a goal. It's not a failure. It's steps to success. It's a wrong question. There's no failure in sports. You know, there's good days, bad days. Some days you are able to be successful. Some days you're not. You don't always win.
I love that Giannis said this. I have been saying this for years. I single-handedly feel like this is the reason for my success. This is the reason for Exclucity. This is the reason for having a national brand. This is a reason for having a $100 million company, because I've never looked at anything as a failure. I literally go to schools to talk about this. Anytime I'm on a podcast, I literally say this repeatedly. Failure is a perception in your mind. Everything that you do that doesn't obtain instant success is a learning experience. It's a step. It's a process. There's no such thing as failure. There's no such thing as losing. There's a such thing as second, third, or fourth, or fifth place, but that doesn't mean that you can't get to third place, second place, or first place the next year, or 5 years, or 10 years. And if you keep in your mind that failure and you keep failing, you're never going to get anywhere. You're always going to stay down. You cannot look at the negative in life and ever think that you're going to have a positive life. There's no such thing as failure. Negativity is a figment of your imagination. It's up to you if you want to acknowledge it. It's up to you if you want to let that exist. For me, I've never failed at anything in my life. How could I ever fail at anything in my life? Are you joking? That doesn't make any sense to me. Failure? Yo, I'm alive. I could keep on trying again. And if I keep on trying again, that means that wasn't a failure. That means that has to have been a learning experience, right? Like literally, it's 2 + 2 = 4. That's exactly what failure is. It is a figment of your imagination that doesn't exist. Listen to what Kobe said.
Seriously, what does failure mean? It doesn't exist. The point is, the story continues. The story continues. So if you fail on Monday, the only way it's a failure on Monday is if you decide to not progress from that.
And that's why Kobe Bryant is a 5-time world champion and arguably one of the top 3 greatest basketball players of all times. And if you listen to most successful people, if you listen to athletes or people who are in business or whatever field and who have obtained success, it's because they never really looked at anything as a failure. Like Giannis said about Michael Jordan, who is the greatest basketball player of all time, arguably one of the greatest athletes of all time. This guy played 15 years and he only won 6 championships. You really got to process that. Michael Jordan lost more opportunities for championships than he won championships. He had 15 opportunities and he only won 6 championships. That means he lost 9 championships. That means those 9 years that he didn't win championships, that was him learning and processing and working and grinding to get and learn more to get to those 6 championships. And the great thing about Michael Jordan's career is that those 9 years were prior to him winning those championships. It was his last 6 years of playing. Well, there was 1 year in between after his father died that he didn't win a championship. But even of that year that he didn't win in between the 3 three-peats, that was a process. That's a perfect example. That year, was that a failure? Michael Jordan took 1 year off, retiring when his father died. He came back the next year, I think halfway through the season, and they lost in the playoffs. You think Michael Jordan looked at that as a failure? He looked at that year as a win. He's like, man, you know what? I've been away from the game. I was playing baseball. My father died. I processed that. I came back 1 year and I got my feet wet. He wore 45 and he came back with the 2-3. And, he did not look at that year as a failure. He looked at that year as a year of getting himself back into the process, conditioning himself, learning the plays, getting back accustomed playing with the team, playing in front of a crowd, getting out there. He took that the next year, right after that year, he won. And then he went on to have a three-peat. That's the mentality of a champion. That's the mentality of somebody who's great. I even talk about this in my book. Don't mean to like shameless plug, but I want to read to you a part that Elo Igor, who is a social worker, wrote in the foreword of my book. So just so you know, it's not necessarily coming from me, but she read the book and this is what she wrote. Trent keenly weaves an entrepreneurial blueprint into personal experiences that can be applied to readers' own professional outputs, adding a unique twist to his autobiographical writing. It demonstrates his reluctance to allow challenging moments and perceive losses to define his life, turning a period into a comma and displaying the willingness to remain focused. That's the sentence that I love. That's the sentence I love. It demonstrates his reluctance to allow challenging moments and perceived losses. There's never a loss. It's only what you perceive. It's not really a loss. I never perceived my losses as losses. And this is the thing I love the most about what she wrote. Turning a period into a comma and displaying the willingness to remain focused. Turning a period into a comma. A lot of you out there have things that happen in your life and you think that it's a full stop and the sentence is ended. There's no full stops in my life. It's a comma. It's a pause. Damn, something happened. Cool. It's not a full stop. Take a little step back. Take a pause. That's what a comma is, right? Take a pause. Keep on moving forward. Keep on moving forward. Okay? Pause, keep on moving forward. And that's been my whole entire life. I had 5 failed businesses before I had my first successful business. And I'm going to go on to be making more successful businesses. And I might have some failed businesses in between. So I just want the lesson here to be, never look at anything in your life as a period. I don't care if you're getting arrested. I don't care if you break something on your body. I don't care if you get into an accident. I don't care if you lose your job. I don't care what happens to you in your life. Nothing that happens to you in your life is a period. Your sentence is not over. Your life is not over. Always look at anything that happens in your life as a comma. It's a minor pause. It's a time to process, reevaluate, and keep on going forward. It's a minor break. That's what a comma does in your life. So leave here remembering that. Remember what Giannis said. There's no such thing as failure in sports. There's no such thing as failure in life. Remember how Michael Jordan perceived and looked at himself and him being one of the greatest athletes of our time. Remember what Kobe Bryant said. Remember what Elo wrote about me in my book. There is no such thing as a failure. There's no such thing as a period. Everything in life, every circumstance in life is a comma, and keep on going. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. It's your boy, Trent Out Loud.